welcome back to Creation Magazine Live. In this segment, what are we going to be talking about?
Well, we're going to be talking about the geologic column and are fossils ever found in the wrong place? And this is from Creation Magazine, volume 32, and issue number 3. And it's an article by Mike Ord.
Mike Ord.
And this, of course, makes sense because a lot of people will think that, you know, the geologic column reveals evolution. That we always find these animals here, and then we always find these animals here, and then we always find these animals here, and they're never in an out-of-place order. And
so are they ever out of place?
Right, and this is what Michael is talking about here. When it comes to evidence, many people think that the fossils prove evolution. You may have seen a diagram of the geologic column with pictures of plants and animals showing how evolution progressed over millions of years. It gives you the impression that fossils are always found in the same definite order, that no fossils are ever found in the wrong place. You may be surprised to learn that fossils are being found in the wrong place all the time. Out of place, that is, compared with the areas or ranges shown for them on the geologic column. But evolutionists don't think of them as being wrong because they have a way of explaining every new fossil discovery no matter where it's found. All they do is change their story about how evolution happened. Evolution is never questioned. The fact is that we know very little about where fossils are buried on the Earth. We only find them on the surface from scattered rock outcrops or from cores removed from boreholes. So it's not surprising that new fossils are regularly found in places where they were previously unknown. For example, sometimes we will find an organism alive and well that was extinct for millions of years. This creates a great surprise, and paleontologists call them living fossils, or even Lazarus taxes, I guess, from the story of Lazarus coming back to life. Of course, they must have been alive for those millions of years after they went extinct, even though their fossils had not been found. These discoveries are no problem for evolutionists. They just extend the range of these animals upward in the geologic column. So it's not a problem. You just adjust your data to fit the story as you get new data all the time.
Right.
But what he's really revealing is you don't always find them in the same place all the time. He gives an example of the Wollemi pine, which is a pine tree, and it was found about 100 kilometers west of Sydney, Australia, in the Blue Mountains. Now, this is a pine tree that's supposed to have been extinct for 150 million years.
Long time.
Yeah, and then they find it, and one of the researchers that found it said this is like finding a living dinosaur, because it's an organism that's supposed to have gone extinct. And of course, we haven't found it in the fossil record since that 150 supposed million years. It's not there, and all of a sudden we find a live one. So
yes, according to their dating, the way they date the fossil record.
Yeah. He goes on and says, on Vancouver Island, just off the west coast of Canada in the late 1990s, a paleontologist found a sponge, which he called Nucha vancouverensis, claiming it was a new species. It was buried in rocks classified in the geologic column as Upper Triassic, which are supposedly some 220 million years old. Surprisingly, this sponge was virtually identical to one previously found in western New South Wales, Australia, named Nuka neocum, from Middle Cambrian rocks, supposedly 520 million years old. But why wasn't it found in any strata from these 300 million intervening years? The Nucha from Vancouver has greatly extended the range from the particular fossil upward in the geologic column. Fossil ranges have also been extended downwards. So, for instance, vertebrate animals with backbones, such as fish and reptiles, have been pushed back into the Cambrian, where 50% to possibly as high as 85% of all the phyla, the major types of animal designs, originated suddenly in what has been graphically called the Cambrian Big Bang. Sharks have been pushed back 25 million years into the Upper Ordovician. Vascular plants, land plants, have been pushed back 25 million years into the Lower Silurian. Based on tracks of a lobster-sized centipede-like creature, arthropods invaded the land 40 million years earlier into the Upper Cambrian than previously thought. The discovery of a parent winged insect has pushed back the origin of winged insects in flight for more than 80 million years into the Lower Silurian. That means the origin of the supposed first land plants, which insects depend on, has to be pushed back even earlier into the Ordovician. So here we see it doesn't really matter what what comes up or what you find. You just adjust it accordingly, right?
Yeah, and I mean, to kind of play devil's advocate or play the side of the evolutionist, that's to be expected, and that should happen.
You get new information.
You're basing your evolutionary construct of the history of life on the fossil record. That's what they say they're doing.
Right.
But then they get themselves into trouble sometimes.
Right, and the idea being that if you think it's just, if you've just seen this column and it's printed and it's in your textbook and it's always like that, what Mike Ward is showing is that that's not always true.
Right, like the pretty one in the magazine here.
Right, right. By analyzing rocks for organic molecules, researchers have said that eukaryote cells containing a nucleus and other complex structures originated 2.7 billion years ago in the Upper Archean. In the Precambrian, that's 1 billion years earlier than previously thought. This raises the question, where are the remains of all the billions of organisms with eukaryote cells that lived between 2.7 billion years ago and the time of the Cambrian Big Bang? Well, where are all these fossils? These are just a few examples of how the evolutionary time ranges of fossils are continually being expanded millions of years earlier and earlier. The evolutionary story is presented in textbook, movies, museums, and documentaries, and we get the impression that the fossils reveal evolution. But the fact is that evolution is assumed and then used to explain the fossils. So when fossils are found in odd places not known before, the evolutionists just change their story about evolution. Creationists, on the other hand, assume that the Bible records what really happened in the past. They find that the fossil evidence can be explained from the order of burial during Noah's flood and the 4,500 years since. So just a great job in this article of pointing out some of the ways that the story has changed, and
yes,
and really for a Christian to hang their theology on ever-changing science, it's probably not a good idea.
Well, or to blend it with evolution. I think that's where you're going, right? The theistic evolutionist, the person who believes, holds to Christianity more or less, and says, well, I'm going to add evolution to that. The theistic evolutionist, God plus evolution. If you're going with this, then there's a constant, well, there's all kinds of theological issues as well.
Right.
But there's a constant, where do you determine truth?
Right. And of course, I've got an article on the website talking about some, I find I've had the question many times when people are talking about dinosaurs. They say, well, how come we only find dinosaurs here in this strata, but we don't find them here, or we don't find other animals in that dinosaur strata? And, and what this article reveals is they've actually found dinosaurs mixed in with beavers. It's a supposed beaver 164 million years old, so now you've got beavers living with dinosaurs, and ducks living with dinosaurs, and badger-like creatures living with dinosaurs. They've even found a mammal that has eaten a dinosaur. They found the remains of a dinosaur inside this mammal. So this pretty picture we see all the time with this, here's the column and it always works this way, and that's not what actually
a very organized sequence of what is believed to be simple to something that is believed to be more complex. I mean, all life is complex. We know that now. We didn't years ago, but this simple to complex story, this neat story of the progress of evolution over millions of years, it isn't the case. You've got fossils in all kinds of wrong places.
Actually, what we have, there's no such thing as simple to complex. We've got unbelievably complex things. The simplest living thing on the planet is unbelievably complex, and then you could move to let's say,
mind-bogglingly, stupendously complex.
That's right.
Going up from there.
Yeah, and so. Again, what the geologic column, when you actually look into what we found buried together, I don't think a lot of people have ever thought about, Tyrannosaur walking along and he's in the jungle, and then, a duck's going quack, 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 flying overhead. It just it doesn't seem to be what we picture or what is commonly taught.
But they've been found buried together.
That's right.
So it's a good indication that
yeah.
They were actually living together.
So you can visit our website, creation.com, and look into this topic a little more, and you can find this article and reference a lot of all the videos from Creation Magazine Live.